Hey everyone, it's Shannon and welcome to this week's video. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit subscribe below and that way you get a notification every time I post a new video. So this week we're going to talk about Disney After Hours. So it's been a hot minute since I've been to Disney After Hours, but I do get a lot of questions as far as if it's worth it. So in a word, yes, it's absolutely worth it, especially if you're going to only be going to the parks for a short period of time. But there's things that you will miss if you go to after hours that would happen during the day, or let's say a Christmas party or Halloween party. So that's what we're going to talk about. The last time, actually the only time we went to Disney After Hours in Magic Kingdom was in 2018. So it's been 2 years. It was when it was relatively new. I think it started in 2017. But we went in 2018. It was relatively new, and our son was still young. He was only 2 at the time. So we really wanted to go for us, because going to Disney with him, we didn't get to ride Space Mountain or Big Thunder or any of the big kid rides. So we wanted to go for us and just have kind of a date night. And that's exactly what we did. We had already planned, when the dates were announced, we had already had this 4-night weekend that we were going to, and the night before we were going from a Friday to a Tuesday, and they added the Thursday night as one of the after hours. And at that time it was only going to be 7 dates that year, so we just added on a night. We actually added on a night at Bay Lake Tower. A night became available, so we got a standard room studio for one night, and we were able to just walk to the park and walk back and get a sitter for our son. So it was really great because we were getting a sitter from Orlando that we got through an agency. We didn't know them. We felt very comfortable that we didn't have to worry about bus or transportation. If anything happened, we could just walk back. So that was really convenient. So with Disney After Hours Magic Kingdom, and which actually with all the after hours, you can get into the park a few hours early. Our event was from 9 p.m. to 12 midnight. And we were able to get in at 7. So we did. We went right at 7. We were able to watch the fireworks and ride a few things. And we tried to focus on the rides that we really wouldn't typically ride with our son. We were coming back to Magic Kingdom later in our trip. This was the first night of our trip. So we were coming back to Magic Kingdom later on in our trip. So we knew we were going to ride things with our son. So we were trying to focus on things that we really couldn't ride with him. So one of the first things that we rode that we hadn't ridden since we went on our baby moon, which was Astro Orbiters. And tip for anyone who maybe hasn't ridden Astro Orbiters, it can fit 2 people, but it really can't fit 2 adults. And it really doesn't fit an adult and a pregnant woman, because we tried that. It doesn't work. But we actually learned that time when I was pregnant that it's really made for an adult and a child. So if you're going, we learned this time, and we went an adult in each rocket. My next tip is to have a game plan. We really didn't have a game plan. It was one of the first after hours, and we really weren't sure what to expect. So I would think have more of a game plan. Try and do a little research as far as which rides have the longest lines, and know what you want to do. We ended up zigzagging across. We went to Tomorrowland, Fantasyland, Frontierland, back to Fantasyland, back to Tomorrowland, and then back to Fantasyland. And it's in a 3-hour period. So really, I would say just try and have a game plan. When we first went to Space Mountain, we thought, oh, okay, they'll let us in through the Fast Pass. They're like, nope, you have to wait in the regular line. So the line was already 45 minutes. So we came back. So it was just a lot of zigzagging. And I wish I had done a little bit more research before I went, because I think we would have had better game plan as far as which rides to start with than know where to go. I will say, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, save that for the end of the night. That line was continually long the entire night. We did save it to the last, I think it was our last ride that we rode, and it was a 20-minute wait even at that point. It was the only ride we waited for, but it was still 20 minutes. The other thing we waited for was the Tangled picture. I really wanted the Tangled picture. I had a 2-year-old. The 2-year-old was never going to wait for that tangled picture. That line was always long. So we did wait about 20 minutes for that picture. Well worth it. I was very excited. However, I wish I had done the picture before we went on Splash Mountain. You know, you live and you learn. So drinks are included in the price of admission, as well as popcorn and ice cream, some snacks and everything. So those lines also were pretty long. So just kind of keep in mind that if you're going to have a snack or you really want that ice cream or popcorn, that you might have to wait for it. So we kind of budgeted our time that I had heard about before we went. So we really aren't big popcorn or ice cream eaters anyway. I did have some popcorn on the way out, and we got some Diet Cokes and water for the road. The one thing I noticed about the Disney After Hours Magic Kingdom was we felt like we had to rush. You had a 3-hour window and just a very short period of time to do what we wanted to do. So, and probably more me, my husband just kind of went along for the ride, but we kind of just felt rushed, and we did everything, and it was a great night, but I did feel more rushed, and I did try to enjoy the fact that, you know, there was no line, but we were going until we left the park. And we left the park, I want to say 11:45, so we didn't even close the park, but we got everything we wanted to do in that period of time, but we were exhausted. So some of the things you're going to miss out by going to an after hours, let's say you use after hours instead of a regular day ticket, there's not going to be any parades. So you're going to miss out on that. And then also a lot of the food establishments are closed. So there was a couple snacks, like I said, ice cream and popcorn were included, but you couldn't go to Be Our Guest or somewhere for dinner. So you could if you wanted to get there earlier, but once the after hours starts, most of the food establishments were closed. So there wasn't some place to just get a hot dog or anything like that. But however, a lot of the character spots were open. Again, this was pre-COVID-19, so who knows what it's going to look like after. But we were able to literally walk in and see Mickey Mouse, which was pretty cool. And we didn't go to see many of the other characters, but some of the other characters were. I think the princesses were still, Princess Fairy Tale Hall was still open. So a lot of those were literally just walk-ins. So if you are a person that likes characters and like those character pictures, you know, you're just literally going to walk in. The other after hours we've done is Animal Kingdom. And we did, I think, the second after hours Animal Kingdom that was ever offered. This was also in 2018, but in December. So little over, maybe about a year and a half ago. And it was awesome. But it was a very, very different experience than at Magic Kingdom. So first of all, we got there right when the after hours started because the dates were announced so close to our trip. We had to kind of maneuver. We already had plans for Chef Mickey's, which was a favorite of our sons. We didn't want to take that away. So we were literally, fortunately, timing worked out perfectly where we were able to go to Chef Mickey's. We were staying at the Polynesian at the time, went to the Polynesian, caught a monorail pretty fast, met our babysitter for our son. Again, our son at that point was 3, wasn't going to take him to after hours, and really, he couldn't really ride anything at Animal Kingdom anyway. So we went to the, dropped him off and then drove, and we got there right as it started. And I want to say it started at 8:30 and ran to 11:30. I can't remember, it's been a little bit of time, but we literally walked in right when it started. So I kind of figured with Animal Kingdom, there's really only 4 rides that we were going to ride. So we figured everybody was going to be going to Flight of Passage. So we decided to go the opposite direction, and we went to Dinosaur. So that's what we did. So we started at Dinosaur, and it was funny because we got on Dinosaur, went through the whole pre-show, everything, and then first ride, we had a full car. So we went through the ride. Next ride, they go like, there wasn't anybody in line. Anybody want to ride again? So we were like, we'll stay. So the next ride, there was like about car half full. And we went through again. And then it was like, anybody want to ride again? And we were like, yeah. And my goal was to have the picture of us only by ourselves and nobody else in the car. And the third ride, everybody else left. We were there. We were the only ones there. So that was pretty fun. You know, by the third time you're riding Dinosaur, I like that ride. By the third time you're riding it, you're kind of, you know, repeating and you can kind of tell you know, word for word and mimic the whole ride. But it was fun. And, you know, when you get to ride a ride consecutively and then have an entire car to yourself. When we came out, there was a little dance party going on. So we, you know, played around and we did the dance party. Again, because there's just not that many offerings in Animal Kingdom, we felt very relaxed. Like we didn't feel like, oh, we had to go here and go there and go here and go there. It was just a much more relaxed feeling, which while we didn't get to ride as much, as far as different variety of rides, we did ride a lot because we rode several times. There was just, it was much more relaxed feel. It was also December and the temperature had dropped. I want to say it was about 40 degrees. I'm from South Florida. I don't do well in cold weather. So it was pretty cold, but we kind of made do with it. When we came out of the dance party, Rivers of Light was going on. So we kind of sat, we've never seen it. We went, we sat for maybe 5 or 10 minutes. It really didn't interest us. So, and then we headed over to the Expedition Everest, which we hadn't ridden. I can't even remember the last time I had ridden it. So we rode that, I want to say a total of 4 times. Again, it was cold. So we rode in the front, we rode in the back, we came out. Now, this is the difference between Animal Kingdom and Magic Kingdom. Animal Kingdom has the bar. So there's no alcohol. Obviously, Magic Kingdom is relatively a dry park. All the sit-down restaurants were closed, so there was no alcohol served. Animal Kingdom, the bar was open. Now they had hot chocolate, they had sodas and water out there, but you could also get a drink. So it was cold. And ended up being that we were just kind of with a group of people and we all decided to do a round of tequila shots. So that was very, very different experience than when we went to Magic Kingdom. And then we went back to Expedition Everest and rode again. So it felt a little warmer with the tequila shot in our system. So I don't know, but it was a lot of fun. And I will say 40-degree weather, front row of Expedition Everest is an experience. After that, we headed over to Pandora and went over to Navi River Journey. And we went to Navi River Journey and we're like, we really weren't going to ride it. It wasn't a plan, but we're like, we're here. Let's do it. It felt like they had the ride on slow motion. So we ended up going back. I think it was the next day was our regular Animal Kingdom day. And the ride took probably a third of the time as it did when we did After Hours. So just kind of keep that in mind if you're trying to like rush and get through it and you're just going to ride it. At least that night, it felt like it was in slow motion. The ride took like 10 minutes or 12 minutes. So when it's usually like a 4-minute ride. So just kind of keep that in mind. Then we headed over to Flight of Passage and rode that. Again, you did the whole pre-show, but it was really cool kind of walking through that hallway where they line you up and there was nobody there. It was just completely empty. So we went and rode it, and we had ridden it. We were fortunate enough to go to the previews, but my husband and I had never ridden it together. So we'd always done rider switch. So it was really, really fun to be able to like, oh wow, honey, we're riding it together. So that was a lot of fun. So we got off of it, and I looked at the person, and I said, is there a way we can ride it again without going outside? Because, it takes a while. And she's like, yeah, hold on 1 second. And she's like, here, okay, follow me. And she's like, does anybody else want to ride? A couple people raised their hand. And then she took us through this back hall. And we kind of just went back. So we didn't have to, while we did do the pre-show again, we didn't have to go out through the queue, through the gift shop, back through the queue. So we rode Flight of Passage twice. And it's just such a great ride. I can't explain it, that it's just one of those rides that I find that when I'm riding it, I have this smile on my face. So we got to ride it twice. We easily could have ridden it again, but we felt we had done everything. We ridden, I think, Dinosaur 3 times, Expedition Everest 4, I think Navi River Journey once, and then Flight of Passage twice. I think that's, so it's been a while. I actually have a video, and I'll link this in the comments below, of when we did the after hours. I actually did a little video. I had done it on Insta Story, so it's done like the iPhone, so it's done on a vertical and not horizontal. So sorry about that. I was doing Insta Story and then I turned it into a video, but there it has all the timestamps of everything we did. But again, it was a very different feeling, and it was just a much more relaxed night. So if you want to do a lot of rides in Magic Kingdom, go for it. But just know that it's going to be a lot of more walking and kind of going here, going here, going here, going there. Whereas Animal Kingdom was just a much more relaxed feel. And if you're maybe going for a date night, I highly, highly recommend going to the one at Animal Kingdom. We haven't done the one at Hollywood Studios. I don't even think it's offered anymore, but that's one that's on our list. But I can't even recommend one over the other. It's just really what you're looking for. They were just really both a lot of fun. Now, I will say with Animal Kingdom, it's really not going to take the place of your normal Animal Kingdom day because there's a lot closed. You're not going to go on the safaris, Lion King Festival, or Festival of the Lion King, Little Nemo the Musical. All of those things are closed. So Animal Kingdom is more of a complimentary visit, whereas Magic Kingdom could really take the place of a regular day ticket because you can get a lot done. You're just not going to get the parades and, some of that day experience, but you're really not going to miss that much. Well, with Animal Kingdom, you are good. There's a lot of things closed, but if you want to ride those e-ticket attractions like Flight of Passage and Expedition Everest with no line and over again, the after hours is the way to go. So that's it for this week. If you like this video, please hit the like button and comment below. Have you done after hours? What do you think after hours is going to look like after the parks reopen? Do you think they're still going to have after hours? And then I'm really curious as far as villains after hours at Magic Kingdom. I'm not much of a villains person, but my son would probably love it. And he's 4 now, and he can ride everything except Space Mountain. So I think the next time we do after hours at Magic Kingdom, he's probably going with us because he's a night owl, and I think he'd really enjoy being able to ride everything without much of a wait. So comment below, let me know what you think, and if you've done what you thought, which is your favorite. And I will see you all next week. Bye.